The War of the Three Hammers, 230 years before the Dark Portal. Far from the hidden guardian sanctum, High King Modimus Anvilmar and his dwarves thrived in their mountain home of Ironforge. Over the centuries, trade partnerships with the human city-states had filled Ironforge's coffers with riches. Great architectural feats, such as the stone-wrought dam, attracted curious visitors from as far away as the elven kingdom of Quel'Thalas. Yet, beneath the facade of prosperity, tension simmered between Ironforge's three powerful clans: the Bronzebeards, the Wildhammers, and the Dark Irons. Thane Madoran Bronzebeard was the head of the Bronzebeard clan, the largest of the three factions. The clan, which formed the bulk of Ironforge's military and mercantile classes, considered itself the backbone of the kingdom and claimed to share distant blood relations with High King Modimus. The Wildhammers lived among the craggy hills and icy slopes outside Ironforge. Led by Thane Carados Wildhammer, they gained notoriety as adept and incredibly resilient mountaineers. Considered uncaught by the Bronzebeard clan, the Wildhammers struggled to gain more sway with High King Modimus and to solidify their place among the ruling elite of Ironforge. Sorcerer Thane Thorison ruled the Dark Irons, who inhabited the deepest and darkest corners of the subterranean city. Their long-standing practice of dabbling in sorcery, along with a penchant for secrecy and political scheming, drew the ire of Ironforge's other inhabitants. Thorison held firm control over the kingdom's richest gem and mineral deposits, using his wealth as leverage to protect his people and secure a place in Ironforge's increasingly volatile political arena. High King Modimus strived to treat each clan with fairness and respect, but his inability to ease tensions between the factions ultimately led to disaster. The High King passed away from old age, and before his eldest son could be crowned, the simmering cauldron of Ironforge boiled over. No one knows exactly who struck the first blow. War ignited between the three clans as each vied for dominion of the mountain. Bloody battles raged in every corner of the kingdom for many long and terrible years. In the end, the Bronzebeard clan used its material expertise to drive the Wildhammers and Dark Irons from the mountain and claim total victory. Cardros conceded defeat and led his clan north. The Wildhammers eventually settled in the nearby region of marshlands. They carved out a great subterranean city named Grim Batol, one that soon rivaled even Ironforge in scope and prestige. The earlier defeat weighed heavy on Carados' shoulders, but in time, he and his kin accepted their lot and prospered in their new home. The Dark Irons ventured south to the tranquil Redridge Mountains. There, they founded the new kingdom of Thorison, named after their leader. Although his people prospered, Thorison himself wallowed in humiliation. He dreamed of one day exacting retribution upon his cousins in the north and claiming all of Cosmodan as his own. After years of secretly forging a new army, Thorison launched a brazen two-pronged assault against the Bronzebeard and Wildhammer clans. The sorcerer Thane himself led the attack on Ironforge. He had bolstered his formidable Dark Iron warriors with legions of immense war golems and siege engines. The invaders reached the very heart of the city before the Bronzebeards finally rallied and pushed the Dark Irons all the way back to Redridge. Thorison's wife, the sorceress Modgud, led the second army against Grim Batol. The Dark Irons besieged the mighty fortress and called upon their dark magics to break the Wildhammer's will. They brought the shadows of Grim Batol to life, transforming the bustling city into a realm of nightmare and terror. Cardros led the Wildhammers in a daring counterattack and vanquished Modgud. With her death, the Dark Irons retreated south, only to find themselves face to face with the armies of Ironforge. Maduran had caught wind of the attack and brought his forces north. The Bronzebeard and Wildhammer armies crushed the Dark Irons from both sides, utterly annihilating them. In the Dark Irons, Maduran and Kardros found a common enemy and new purpose. They put aside their old rivalries and marched their mighty host southward, pledging they would not stop until they had purged Thaurissan and his treacherous Dark Irons from the face of the world. As the Bronzebeard and Wildhammer armies drew near, Thaurissan scrambled for a way to defeat his enemies. He decided to draw the fiery power from deep within the world and use it as a weapon. Thus, Thaurissan wove a great spell to save his kingdom. Yet, amid his conjuration, his mind turned to the death of his wife and his recent defeats. Anger roiled through Thaurissan's heart. His rage grew so absolute that his spellwork breached the elemental plane and tapped into Ragnaros, the Fire Lord. Unwittingly, Thaurissan ripped Ragnaros from the elemental plane and summoned him to the surface of Azeroth. The earth buckled and wrenched apart. The Fire Lord's violent rebirth sparked a series of apocalyptic explosions that instantly killed the sorcerer Thane and shattered the surrounding mountains. From afar, Maduran and Kardros watched in horror as the world was torn asunder and firestorms engulfed the area. They knew in that instant that Thaurissan had doomed himself and his people. Frightened for their own safety, the Wildhammers and Bronzebeard turned north and fled. Aftermath and Reconstruction. In the years that followed the War of the Three Hammers, Maduran and his people rebuilt Ironforge. Kardros and the Wildhammers, however, chose to abandon Grimbatol. Modgud had cursed the great city upon her death, leaving it uninhabitable. The Bronzebeard offered the Wildhammers a place in Ironforge, but it was a conciliatory gesture at best. Maduran knew in his heart that Kardros was too proud to accept such an offer. As expected, the Wildhammer ruler set out to forge a new future for his clan. Some of the Wildhammers settled in a region called Northeron, yet Kardros led most of his clan even farther north, into the wooded hinterlands. The memories of Grimbatol still haunted the Wildhammers, and so they decided to eschew the subterranean dwellings of the past. Upon reaching the hinterlands, Kardros and his people built a majestic city, Airy Peak, high in the mountains. The Wildhammers fostered their traditional ties with the natural world. They practiced shamanism and befriended the intelligent half-lion, half-eagle griffins, creatures that called in nooks and crannies of the mountain home. The griffins became emblematic for the Wildhammers, an inseparable part of their culture. Maduran and Kardros established diplomatic ties between their two healing nations. The great arches of the Thandol Span were constructed as both an economic and a symbolic bridge between the dwarven territories. Although rivalries and ideological differences would persist, the two leaders vowed to never take up arms against each other again. When Kardros and Maduran passed away, their sons commissioned masons to forge two great statues of the leaders. These craftsmen erected these at the entrance to the Southlands, beyond which lay the Dark Iron territories. There, the statues would maintain a tireless vigil, their stony eyes ever watching over the broken domain of their nemesis. Ragnaros' rebirth had decimated much of Red Ridge Mountains. A raging volcano, also known as Black Rock Mountain, now towered over the ruined Dark Iron Kingdom. The smoldering wasteland south of the volcano was called the Burning Steppes. The yawning chasm to the north was dubbed the Searing Gorge. Ragnaros himself retreated deep within the blistering heart of the Black Rock Mountain. From his lair, the Molten Core, he enslaved the surviving Dark Irons. The dwarves obeyed their elemental master's every beck and call. They carved out a new fortress under the mountain and named it Shadowforge City. Within their fiery home, they would continue nursing the hatred of the Wildhammers and Bronzebeards. reign of the Anvilmar line. The Anvilmar family's control of Ironforge came to an end with the costly War of the Three Hammers. Maduran Bronzebeard assumed leadership of the dwarven nation, but he did not wish to make an enemy of his former rulers. Thus, Maduran offered the now deposed prince of the Anvilmar family and his descendants a permanent seat on Ironforge's Senate.